Welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my tier ranking for all of the fantasy romance books that I have read. I've been wanting to do this video for a really long time, and I just have been kind of stressed out about trying to figure out how to do it. I've never done a tier ranking video before, so I'm really excited to finally get to this. And I have at least 45 books here. All of the fantasy romance books that I've read, I haven't included like monster romance or books that I think are super paranormal romance. These are specifically like fantasy romance books. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you do so. Don't forget to click the like button and comment down below and let me know if you agree with any of these or disagree. That's fine if you disagree. Just try to be, nice about it. Let me know if you've read any of these or you have any of these books on your TBR. So we have 45 books to talk about. I am not going to go into detail about these books because that would make this video super long. I'll just try to give you a very quick summary of like why I'm ranking it that way, etc. Okay, so getting into these tiers, I have 6 tiers here, so it's going to be a little bit different from like my regular 5-star rating, right? And that was the point of this, as I want to give a little bit more details about like why I rated things certain ways, and also just talk about these books a little bit more, basically. So I have the goddess tier. Like, these are just top tier, the best books of all time, will be one of my favorite books of all time, and it's just goddess tier. Next, I have adored it. These are the books that I have really enjoyed, that I thought were just really great, but they just didn't quite make like all-time favorite status. Here I have good, not great. This often ends up being like a 3-star read, but so does something about this irked me, which is oftentimes like I enjoyed it, but something just annoyed me about it. Oftentimes these are like 3-star books for different reasons. I think good, not great is sometimes a little bit more forgettable. And I think something about this irked me maybe is a little bit less forgettable, but also there's something in there that I kind of disliked, So you just don't. These are books that I just disliked and I'm not going to recommend. And this is like a top tier, like this is like bottom tier, I hate. Burn before reading. Like, I don't suggest burning books, like, ever, but there are a couple of books that really just, why were these written? So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this. The first book I have here is Captive of the Pirate King, and this is by Rebecca Kenny, and I really enjoyed this book. Trying to rank it, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with good, not great. I think I gave this book 4 stars, and a lot of 4 stars and 3 stars I think are gonna end up in here. This is not like I loved it. I didn't think that this was an all-time favorite. I enjoyed this book, had a good time, but it wasn't extremely memorable. This is about a girl who tries to find her brother, ends up being captive of a pirate king, and it's a really good, it's good, it's just, it's, yeah. Spin the Shadows. I adored this first book. I thought this was so fun. This is a why choose, like, fae romance, and yeah, I really liked this first book. It's definitely like only like a 1 on the spice scale. Speaking of spice scale, let me know if you guys want me to do a tier ranking on spice level. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was a good time. The second one is poor. It's more like good, not great. Um, this one I didn't really like as much as the first book in the series, which was Spin the Shadows, and it has me like unsure if I want to continue on in the series because I liked it, but at the same time, the spice and the romances aren't really picking up, and that makes me kind of not looking forward to continuing on. There wasn't anything wrong with it though. The next one I have here is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I adored this book. I really, really loved it. This is the second book in the From Blood and Ash series, and I thought it was a really amazing sequel to this story. Yeah, it's a really unique take on vampires, and it's pretty cool. The first book, From Blood and Ash, is, I'm thinking, gonna go in the good not great category. There was parts of it that I really adored, but overall I didn't adore the whole thing. And this is the first book in that series. Okay, so next here I have, let's see, Gleam. Next year I have Gleam, and this is the third book in the Plated Prisoner series. I kind of would prefer to start with Guild, so I'll go Guild here. And okay, so I have Guild here, and this one is the first book in the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy, and it's a King Midas retelling. I've really enjoyed the series, but the first book, not so much. And I think I'm going to put it in Something About This Irked Me, because there were definitely things about this that irked me. I didn't feel like the story was very well set up, and I didn't feel like the main character was likable. I thought she was just kind of stupid, but that's understandable considering what she's been through. She has been so completely sheltered and abused and held captive. So it makes sense, but it doesn't change the fact that Something About This irked me. The second book in this series I really liked, and that was Glint. Yeah, I really liked the sequel and where it was going, and I liked the beginnings of like a found family aspect, and I liked the growth our main character experienced. And yeah, it was just really good. And then Gleam here, I think, is like goddess tier. Like, I adored Gleam so much. I loved where the story went. Next I have Bow Before the Elf Queen. I think it was actually Long Live the Elf Queen. I think I have the wrong picture here. It's supposed to be the first one. But we'll just use this in its place. It's either Bow Before the Elf Queen. No, Bow Before the Elf Queen, I think, is the first one. I'm getting confused here. The titles are really similar, and I kind of hate it when authors do that. But this book was good. It wasn't great. And I think the series could get really good. It's very low on the chili scale. It's not super spicy. And so I think that's part of why I wasn't a huge fan. There was just some dynamics with the two love interests that kind of like just didn't feel quite perfect to me. But I really liked the world, and I really liked the politics and everything that was getting set up, and it ended on a crazy cliffhanger. So there's definitely hope for the series. And so, Longing of Lone Wolves. This book is like an icy, fae, dystopian kind of fantasy romance, and our main character is a shifter. He can turn into wolf, and they're supposed to be like guarding the world until our main character shows up from basically like modern day, and things kind of go from there. It's got a little bit of a captor-captive trope, kind of. I think it's going to be good, not great. It was enjoyable. It like met the qualifications for an enjoyable fantasy romance for me, and I liked the world, but I didn't think the writing was memorable, and I didn't think the writing was, yeah, it was mostly a writing thing for me. So next I have Fortuna Sworn here, and I really liked this series. And I feel like memory-wise, I feel like I'm remembering it as an adored it. It may have been a good, not great at the time, but then going back, like it kind of has stuck with me, and it's a really unique story, and it's also really dark. This follows our main character who is a nightmare, so she can make people see their worst nightmares. And she kind of gets coerced into marrying this Fae king, and he's the king of the Unseelie court, and there's a love triangle, and yeah, I just have really enjoyed it. I'm gonna look and see if I have where the second one is in this series. Um, it looks like I may have, oh, here it is. Here it is. I was like, I thought I forgot it or something. Okay. This one is going to be the sequel, Restless Slumber. And I really like this one too. It was a little bit heartbreaking, but again, adored it. Looking forward to reading books 3 and 4. And I think KJ Sutton just finished writing the 5th one, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Fire in His Blood by Ruby Dixon. I think I'm gonna go with adored it. Um, maybe if there was like a 7th tier, maybe I could have put a 7th tier and put it here, but it would have been in there maybe. But I really enjoyed this book. It just wasn't like, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit strict with like my higher rankings, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book. This is about a dragon shifter and it's a dystopian world, and our main character gets kind of like sent to be sacrificed to a dragon, and they end up falling in love, and yeah, it was very fun, that's for sure. Um ooh, I definitely, no, not that one. I really, really liked this book. This was that time I got drunk and saved a demon, and I loved especially the world in this. It's kind of set on like an like a version of an American bayou, but with all kinds of magical creatures and magical elements. Our main character is a cinnamon farmer, or like a spice farmer, and her name is Cinnamon, and it's just, it's cute. Even the name of the series, Mead and Mishaps, is adorable. I really want to continue in that series. So next, I have Crown of Midnight. So maybe I should look for Throne of Glass first. Here it is. So Throne of Glass, I really enjoyed, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with adored it. It's definitely, it's not goddess tier. It was good. I really enjoyed it. Um, I really had a wonderful time. Throne of Glass so far is very YA, but at the same time, I really, really had a wonderful time with it, and really I'm looking forward to continuing on. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me because I think like I just have such high expectations of her. And if I had read this series like 10 years ago, it would have been goddess tier, I think. But it's not. It's I really adored it, had a wonderful time. Same thing with the second one, but I do think the series has potential for goddess tier. Um, it definitely has potential for goddess tier in the series. But in terms of these two books, not. But I definitely had a wonderful time and can't wait to continue. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be hard for me because I adored Daughter of No Worlds. It's definitely adored. Um, and honestly, like, no, because I feel like I can't put it in guys tier because I DNF'd the sequel to it. I want to I want to try again, but for now I've DNF'd it because like I'm kind of annoyed about the romance. But this book definitely and it's like high up on the adored. Like, feel like it goes, if I were to put these in order, like this would be the order. Um, and maybe I should try to do that. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to like keep these like in order for like how much I like enjoyed them. Um, and let's see. I think that's good. So, um, yeah, Daughter of No Worlds, it's just not quite making goddess tier. I love this book. It was really, really interesting, unique world building. I loved our main character, Tisana, and she was really strong. And I love the magic system. I'm interested to see where things go, but I don't know. The Winter Mail Order Bride. This book was really good. That was good. It was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it a lot. It's really good for wintertime, especially. They talk about like Yule and the holidays, and it's like snowy. Our main character is kind of like a witch. I'm not sure what they call her, but she's some kind of witch. And it's kind of short. I think it's like a novella length, under 200 pages. And I liked it a lot. That was fun. I suggest it. Wolf Gone Wild. Okay, so this was like a 3.5 or 4 star maybe, but I'm gonna put it in something that irked me because I hated the main hero, like our hero in the story. I hated him. I thought that he was, and I usually like an alpha possessive hero, but I thought he was nosy possessive, like, and that kind of annoyed me. But he was a shifter and the heroine was a witch, and I am continuing on the series. I think each book follows a different sister in their coven, and it's a large family. I think there's like 6 sisters or something. Deal with the Elf Queen. No, I'm sorry. Deal with the Elf King. This was by Elise Kova, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know, but it wasn't I didn't adore it. It was good, not great. I'm not a huge fan usually of romances where there's not a higher spice level. Like this is like barely one chili. Like it was fade to black. And it was quite short. So I thought that it could do with some more development of the romance. I thought the romance in it was lacking, but I liked how our main character spent time in the greenhouse and all of that. Like I thought the main character was really cool. She's like an herbal witch, and I thought she was really cool. War. Yeah, so this is by Laura Thalassa, and it's about this is the second book of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse series, and each one follows a different horseman, and this follows War, and I'm gonna say, ew, just don't. I thought I would love this book because it followed a character that was very much like Khal Drogo. I thought War was very much like Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. But unfortunately, this book was about 200 pages too long, and I didn't like some of the tropes used towards the end. Yeah, and it wasn't just something about it that irked me. A lot about this book irked me. I think I give it 2 stars. Just, I don't recommend it. Okay, so A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows. This one I just read this and I have to say I adored it. I thought this book was so much fun. I'm gonna put it here. This book was a lot of fun. This is about like a fae world and there's a veil, and basically our main character is what's called star blessed, and she is supposed to marry the prince of the fae because of this, because it's supposed to somehow help him with his powers. And I loved it. I thought it was fun. It's super spicy, super fun time. It doesn't take it too seriously. It doesn't go super deep. It's not like a super deep into the fantasy world building kind of fantasy. It's more like, I would say it's like 80-20, or maybe it's more like I would say it's 75-25 on the romance to fantasy. So, The Never King. This book, something about it definitely irked me, but I think it's more so you just don't. I didn't enjoy this book. I thought it was poorly written, poorly developed. I just personally, I don't like some of the kinks used in it, so there was that as well. But that's a personal thing that has nothing to do with whether or not I would recommend it. But also I felt like a lot of things didn't make sense and she was contradicting herself. There was a lot of just like plot holes. Yeah, not good. My favorite, One of my favorite Why Choose romance series is this series. So we have Traitor Witch, Liar Witch, and Pirate Witch. No, they're not going any. They just don't. They're up there. Okay, so I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get them up here. I'm gonna say Traitor Witch adored it, and I don't know. No, you know what? Let's just do this. There's a reason I'm talking about these books constantly. I love them. This follows a lunar witch, and it's a why choose romance between her and 6 pirates, 5 or 6, I can't remember right now. But they are all different magical beings, vampires, fae, shifters, and the plot is amazing. So, and then the smut was really good too. Pestilence. So this is the first book in the Four Horsemen series, and I don't know. I'm gonna say something about it irked me. I I just didn't think it was special in any way. And more specifically, I thought that this book was too long too, and especially the conflicts I didn't enjoy, and I didn't think there was enough done for our main character, our heroine, to fall in love with him. So yeah, that kind of irked me. Rhapsodic. I think I gave this 4 stars. This is a fae romance, by the same author of the Four Horsemen series, Laura Thalassa. And I do recommend it, especially because so many people adore it. I personally thought it was good, and so I do recommend it, but it's not like an all-time favorite. Mostly because when I was reading, I was really, really enjoying my time, but afterwards it completely left my brain, and I really have no memory of what specifically happened. But I do know at the time I enjoyed reading it. So that's why that I would say that's good, not great. Because if it's gonna be like I adored it situation, I'm gonna have to like remember it. Here I have Heart of the Fae by Emma Hamm. I adored this book. This is a really sweet fae romance, and it was really ethereal, and it had a lot of fae lore, and I thought Emma Hamm did a wonderful job with this book. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for like a Celtic fae fantasy romance. A Promise of Fire and Breath of Fire. So, A Promise of Fire is the first book in this series, and it is god tier. I adore this book. It has got like Greek mythology. The tropes were really good, like only one horse trope, captive captor, really good. The sequel, I'm gonna say I adored it, um, but or maybe I'm gonna say good, not great. There was a trope introduced in this that kind of ruined the series for me, and I almost wish this was a standalone. I almost wish Promise of Fire was a standalone because I really, really liked it. I adored it. I want to reread it. It was so good, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever actually finish the series just because of a trope introduced in the second book. Okay. Let me just drink a sip of coffee before this one. Fighting Destiny. This one is a fae and a witch romance. And I really, something about this definitely irked me, but it irked me so much that I would suggest burning it instead of reading it because it was god awful. Just bad. I'm not even going to tell you anything about it. It's just bad. Don't read it. Just don't. It's no. I just don't recommend it, and that's that. So I have ACOTAR here. And so A Court of Thorns and Roses, I definitely adored this book. This is such a booktube classic. I feel like I'm sure you've heard of it, but this is a story about Farah, and she is out hunting, trying to feed her family one day, and she shoots a wolf. Well, that wolf turns out to have been a face shifter, and so she is taken off to the spring court in order to stay there as basically recompense for her crime. And a romance ensues from there. Of Court of Mist and Fury. I think everyone and their mom would agree that A Court of Mist and Fury is God tier. There's no question. Court of Wings and Ruin, God tier. A Court of Silver Flames. If there was a tier higher than Goddess tier, A Court of Silver Flames would be there. It's probably my favorite fantasy romance of all time. So just a moment here. I'm just gonna kind of like try to fix these so that I'm actually gonna put Court of Wings and Ruin after Gleam. So that's my like setup there. I also A Court of Frost and Starlight, I'm gonna say is, I adored it just because of my like connection to the characters, but it's not like Goddess tier at all. It's just like a novella. It's like a little Christmas card, you know. So Crescent City. So I guess, I don't know. This is hard for me because I think that Crescent City is at the top, and like don't hurt me for this. Top of Good Not Great, and I'm gonna say but it's not hitting I adored it because I didn't adore it. I thought, I think it is partially because it's urban fantasy and I don't like that. But I really want to continue on. I'm hoping the third book like changes it for me, and I'm excited about where things are going with the series. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with the top of the tier for Good Not Great. It's almost to adored it, but I didn't quite adore it. Okay, so A Crown of Gilded Bones. Honestly, like just, I would say just don't if you didn't have to. Honestly, because this book was just, there was issues with it, and I would say I mean, because this is the third book in the series and you need to read it to get to the fourth book, you have to, but if you didn't, I would say you just don't, because the third book in the From Blood and Ash series, that's what this is just, it's awful. Honestly, the pacing is awful, the world building is awful, the plot didn't make sense in times, and I was pretty pissed about it in general. So all I have left here is Zodiac Academy. So the first one I have is The Awakening, and I would say I adored it. This whole series is about these Gemini twins who have found out that they are fae, and they go to the Zodiac Academy to train. Turns out they are the children of the now deceased king and queen of the realm, and they're in contentious relationships. They have a contentious relationship with these four heirs whose parents have since taken over the kingdom. So those heirs are now bullying the crap out of our Gemini heroines, and the story goes from there. It's very much adult, smutty Harry Potter, but with fae, and it's astrology themed. I loved it, and I would say the Ruthless Fae and the Reckoning are these are gonna have to be Goddess tier. I adored book 2 and 3. Book 3 especially, I think, is my favorite in the series. We also have this prequel that was fine. This was The Origins of the Academy Bully, and it was good. It was a prequel, and I'm kind of mad that they used my sign for it, because I would have preferred like a better book for them to use the Cancer sign for. And then finally we have The Shadow Princess, which I adored. I really liked it, but probably about as much as the first book. And I'm currently reading the 5th book in the series right now, and overall, like, the series overall is just awesome. I definitely recommend it. So here you have it. These are my rankings. I have my Goddess tier that is headed up by Court of Silver Flames. I adored Daughter of No Worlds and all of these books right here. I would have to say A Court of Thorns and Roses takes this top spot, though, just because it's ACOTAR. top spot for Good Not Great is taken by SJM again. So, but I've got a lot of books in there, and I would definitely recommend all of the books in all of these top 3 categories for you to check out. They just, this tier right here, especially Good Not Great, it's just that it wasn't like outstanding to me, you know. And then I definitely would not recommend anything in You Just Don't or Burn Before Reading. But for these, I told you exactly what irked me, and hopefully that kind of helps you out to decide whether or not you should read them or not. Generally, it was something kind of specific. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. Just make sure to keep it friendly and considerate. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
You're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long.